let's talk about perimeter. What is perimeter in geometry and math? When you hear perimeter, you are going to be dealing with two-dimensional shapes, plane figures, such as a square, a triangle, a circle, anything two-dimensional, a quadrilateral, etc. Perimeter is the distance around the sides, the length of the sides of two-dimensional shapes. Perimeter, if you want to think about it, is if you were walking along the lines of a shape. How long would it take you to completely walk around the shape? That's perimeter. Okay? So let's look at how do we calculate perimeter. So let's say you have a yard, and for some reason the yard looks kind of funky. Typically yards are rectangles, right? But this yard's going to look weird. And side lengths, this one is 15 feet. Let's say all of these are feet, okay? 15 feet. This one is 8. This one is 10. This one is 5. And this one is 12. So imagine this is a yard. You have a little house in there. Okay. So if you wanted to put up a fence and enclose your yard, how much feet of fence would you need? That would be an example of a perimeter problem. Okay, so what is the perimeter? What's the perimeter of this yard? Well, to find perimeter, you need to add the sides. Okay, so like I said before, it's like if you walked along the outer border of the yard, or if we're putting up a fence that needs to close this yard off. Let's add the sides. So 15 plus 12 plus 5 plus 10 plus 8. Okay, 15, 12, 5, 10, 8. 15 plus 12 is 27. Plus 5 is 32. Plus 10 is 42. Plus 8 is 50. Alright, so the perimeter of this sample yard is 50 feet. Now, this yard is kind of oddly shaped. What if you had a nice square yard? Okay. So house, okay. House, and you have a perfectly square yard, and this time the yard, let's say, is 8 feet all around. 8 feet. Okay. So if this is a square, remember that squares are regular. And this word regular in geometry means all of the sides and all of the angles inside are equal. If you have a regular shape, for example, a square, and you wanted to find the perimeter, well, you could do it like this, right? There's 8, and if it's a square, all of these are 8. So you could do 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, and sum it up, 8 plus 8, 16. 16 plus 8, 24. 24 plus 8, 32. You could do it like that, but that takes a long time. So here's actually a faster way for you to calculate perimeter for regular shapes. Okay? For regular shapes, you take the side length. Remember, if they're regular, all of the sides are going to be the same length. You take the side length and you simply multiply it by how many sides there are. A square has 4 sides. 8 times 4, 32. See, this was a lot faster than 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, writing it out, calculating the additions. Okay, just simply side length times the number of sides, 32 feet. And this applies to other shapes as well. So remember, these are all for regular polygons, okay? The side lengths have to be equal. So if you had a triangle would be pretty easy to calculate, right? But if you had a triangle and it's 3 inches, the perimeter, well, that'd be quick. 3 inches, that's a side length, times 3 sides. 9, right? 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9. What if you had a big shape? I don't know. Let me try and draw. Okay, so hexagon. Say this is 2.5 meters. Okay, so if you had 6 sides, like a hexagon, we would not want to write 2.5 plus 2.6 times and add it up. That would take too long, right? So let's just do 2.5, the side length, times how many sides? Well, hexagon, 6 sides. Okay, 2.5 times 6, which would be 15 meters. And so on, okay? So for regular shapes, side length times the number of sides. That's your shortcut. Now, let's look at a rectangle. So a rectangle, say this is 3 units. I don't know, inches, feet, whatever you want. 3 here and 10 here. Okay. Here is a shortcut you could do to find the perimeter of a rectangle. So a rectangle, if this side's 3, then this side is 3. If this side's 10, this side's 10. So rather than do 3 plus 3 plus 10 plus 10, rather than do that and calculate, here's a faster way. Okay? So the perimeter of a rectangle, you can simply do 2 times length plus width. For a rectangle, the perimeter can be found by 2 times length plus width. So for example, for this rectangle, to find the perimeter, simply plug in. So our length is 10, our width is 3. Okay, 10 plus 3 is 13. 2 times 13, 26. There you go. A lot faster than writing it out, right? 3 plus 3 plus 10 plus 10, and then adding those. 2 times length plus width, 26. And lastly, let's look at a circle. Okay, so circle. Yeah, all right. So the perimeter of a circle has a special name called circumference. Circumference. Okay, it still means the same. It's the outer border. It's the distance to walk all along this circle if it were a giant circle, right? The length of a circle. If you took a pair of scissors and cut it here and then straightened it into a line, that would be the circumference. Okay, the length enclosing this boundary inside here, circumference. The formula for circumference is pi times diameter. Circumference equals pi times diameter. So diameter, remember, is if you go across the circle in any direction. That's diameter. Okay. So if this circle, if our radius were 2 2 centimeters. What would the circumference of this circle be? Okay. If the radius is 2 centimeters, the diameter would be 4. Remember that diameter is double radius, okay? So if the radius is 2, diameter is 4. So we just plug it in. Circumference of this sample circle would be pi times 4 centimeters. And then pi, we can say, just for our example here, pi is approximately 3.14, right? So 3.14 times 4. Let's just calculate that real quick. 3.14 times 4 be 16, carry the 1, 5, 4 and 3 is 12, and then we got 2 decimal points up there, okay? Which would be approximately 12.56 centimeters. That would be the circumference of this circle. And let's wrap up there for today.